please make your main character older than 18 years of age?
Yes! Let me say it again. Yes! Oh my god, that was actually loud that it shut my voice. But yes, everything this person that I stitched with said yes. Like, no offense. I get it, we were all at the age of when, like, sometimes reading about 13-year-olds losing their virginity is perfectly normal. But, like, I'm 28 years old. I'm aging closer to 30. I would like to not read a 13-year-old losing her virginity. Yeah? Yeah! When I look for books, I specifically make sure that the main character, the main female character, is over the age of 18. Sometimes it is written on the back of the blurb, and it's really easy for me to be like, yes, I will pick that because the character's over 18. Other times, it's a bit harder, but you can kind of get the context by the cover art, or at least getting, like, a guide through how they describe the female character. But I will purposely avoid any book where a minor is having sex. Because I'm just like, I don't need to know that. I don't really care. If they're kissing, like, okay, that's kind of borderline. But, like, I can deal with that. Because everybody kisses. But once you get an underage person having sex, I'm like, no, I'm out. I'm good. I don't need to read this. I don't need to know this. I get that this is normal, but I don't need to read it. I know with my own stories, all my characters are over the age of 20. I think, actually, no, that's a lie. All my characters are in various ages. My eldest is in her 60s, though she doesn't have sex. Sorry, she's not boring. She's just a criminal. My youngest is 17. The closest she gets is to fade to black. And literally she lays in bed, scene fades to black. But anywhere between that, majority of my characters who get smutty are anywhere between 25 and 40. Because I'm like, this is more of the age that I'm comfortable to know about. Like, I don't feel comfortable describing a child getting like that, you know? Like, I don't need those scenes as a writer. I don't want to do that as a reader. I don't need to read it. I get that as a kid, I was a curious little reader, and as a kid, I read a lot of smutty books that I probably didn't need to read. Like that one where I read a scene where, like, a 12-year-old had her uncle, yeah? But I was a kid, and I didn't know better. But now that I'm an adult, I know better, and I feel like that just makes me really uncomfortable. I really don't need to see minors getting it on. Like, please don't. Yeah, cool. So your comment says, my opinion is that as long as they're 18, spice is okay. They're an adult. Under 18, romance okay, but no spice, please. I agree with this comment fully 100%. I think that was the point that I was trying to make in my very first video. I'm very good at not making my valid points. So that's always my fault. But yes, if they're over 18, go for it. Make it as insanely detailed, spicy, go for it. No one's stopping you. But if they're under 18, the highest you need to go is kissing. Fade to black at best. You know, like look. Ugh. And I'm nearly 30. I want to read about a 30-year-old getting it on. I want to have a little spicy in my imagination. I can't put the same description in if I was, you know, reading a story about a 16-year-old, because then I'm like, hold on. I can't get the enjoyment from this story. Like, that's gonna make me feel weird. Like, yeah. But yeah, definitely, your comment is 100%, and this is the point that I'm trying to make. So you had 3 comments, but I can only reply to the one. So I'm gonna green screen all 3. You say, I'm sorry, but has no one heard of fan fiction? The amount of younger people's spiciness, sometimes with older people, is just romantically astounding. I'm not going to yuck someone's yum because I truly believe pedophiles are trauma and DNA based. They are born or made like that. If you act on those desires, is a completely different thing. Even a photo is acting on it, and it's disgusting. Just so people know, fan fiction has a lot of it. 100%. I grew up reading fan fiction. The joys of the internet at a young age. Yay! And I discovered a lot. Mind you, I didn't read as spicy as I thought I did when it came to fanfic. But no, I learned a lot. And yes, there is a lot of older characters with minor characters. I was one of those people who wrote fanfic as a hobby, and I sometimes still do. But yeah, it's it's insane. But like, I fully agree with you. If you're going to be a pedophile, or at least see minors like that, it is be either based on trauma or DNA. I think someone did a scientific thing that it is based on trauma, which I feel like is a piss poor excuse, but whatever. If science says it's trauma, it's trauma. I mean, look, I went through my own traumatic stuff, and I'm not a creep. But anyway, look, it is insane, and I feel like you can't really say minors having sex is pedophilia, because minors are going to explore a lot of things. It is a different story if it's like a grown-ass man who's taken advantage of a minor, and you're like, yo, what the hell? We've also come quite far in society and learned a lot of things. Like, back in the 90s, it was normal for a 12-year-old to hook up with a 20-year-old. Back in the 50s, it was normal for a 60-year-old to marry his cousin. You know, that was normal. You look at it now and you're like, Hell, we all judge Leonardo DiCaprio for hooking up with people under the age of 25. Even though most of his dates are pretty much over the consensual age. But yeah, look, fanfic exists, and it's explored a lot for everybody who reads it, particularly those who write it. But you know, I agree with you. Okay, so your comment says, y'all need to read new adult or adult fiction and stop asking young adult writers who are writing for 15 to 20-year-olds to stop making their MC 15 to 20. Ooh. Okay, look, I see your point, but here's a little issue that I have. Now, the person who I originally stitched with, she said that she's a mature reader. She said that she actively looks for mature books. She actively looks for spicy books. Her issue is the fact that she's knowing that she is reading a mature, spicy book. She doesn't want to read a 17-year-old getting it on with the Dragon Man. She is actively looking for those books. Different story if she was reading young adult and was like, hold on, wait. With me as well, a lot of the books I read are crime and thrillers. I know that those are also mature books. I also know that most of those readers are pushed towards the 18-plus-year-old demographic. I do know that in recent months I have been either rereading or starting to lean towards young adult. I don't know why, but it happens. And I know that I'm going to be expecting to see a young MC. Whereas if I'm looking at my mature books, particularly the spicy books that I've been reading, I don't really want to read a 16-year-old getting it on with a 50-year-old man. I don't want to read a 16-year-old getting it on with Satan. Like, yes, you can have your fantasies. Yes, those books can exist. But if you didn't describe your character in the synopsis as a sweet 16 who didn't know better, then I'm going to assume that your character is 18 plus. Again, with the person who I stitched, she was going out of her way to find mature books. So yes, even though I see your point, I feel like it's an invalid comment, because if we readers are actively looking for mature books in the adult fiction, in new adult fiction, we are going to be expecting to see an 18-plus-year-old MC, not a younger, underage minor getting it on with graphic details with somebody that we can't stick our minds in.